Welcome to this talk on foundational concepts. This talk is on the authentic and the false self. This is a very large topic and one that's really central to what we do in meditation and compassion and in psychotherapy and in life in general. It's a key issue, and to be aware of it is an essential part of us of mental and emotional well-being. So briefly, the concept of an authentic self as opposed to a false self has been around since the 50s, about the 50s, primarily through the efforts of D.W. Winnicott, who was a British psychoanalyst and pediatrician. His main emphasis for his work, his psychotherapy, and his trainings and his approach to psychotherapy was this idea of an authentic self versus an inauthentic or a false self. And since he was a psychoanalyst and a pediatrician, he got to see close up thousands of kids grow up with and how they were parented and the outcomes of that parenting. And so he found that some children had a higher degree of secure attachment, a higher degree of spontaneity in life, a higher degree of stability in relationships and in vocation, and tend to be more of I guess you could say, a contribution to society in their work and their home life and such, and had stronger relationships over a longer period of time. And those that did not were struggled with this sense of self. Now, many of the diagnoses in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, 5th edition, they talk about as a characteristic of some of the personality disorders, an unstable sense of self. And this unstable sense of self really refers to the imputed self, or the false self, or the self we assume ourselves to be by virtue of the feedback from the environment. And this is a key issue because, as we see now with the rise of social media, a lot of people take their sense of self and self-worth from how many likes they have or how many followers they have and who's following them on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, and literally make that the basis for their self-esteem. And what they're really doing is they're not at all tuning into their intrinsic worth. They are assuming their worth from how other people value them. This is what we call external locus of control. Now, if somebody is in touch with their authentic self, what that means is they have a solid standing in this sense of self and in the ability to feel that whatever the situation is, they can handle it or work through it or manage it somehow in a manner for a positive outcome. That whatever's coming down the pike in life, we'll handle it. It will be difficult, but we'll get through it. So, and this sense of self is not as affected by external circumstances or what other people think of them. And so that whether they're popular or not or whatever is of no interest, of very little interest. So the issue here is in how we were raised. And one of the things we go into in psychotherapy, we take a look at the precise dynamics of what was going on when someone was being raised in the family that they were raised in. And that will give us a good idea how much someone is attentive to or familiar with or involved with their authentic self versus their false self. Because in false self, the main efforts are to figure things out, to understand who we are in relationship to other people. So codependence is a big issue, and narcissism is a big issue here. That we get our value from how we're viewed in the world, or what we're doing in the world, or how much money we make, or the position that we have, or whatever it may be. And what that does is it makes it obvious to the informed observer that this person is depending on not how they feel about themselves, but how others feel about them for their sense of self-worth. And the problem with that is that no matter how much money we make, or how high a station we can get in life, or how many awards we garner, that feeling of low self-worth is still there. Which is why when there's been some studies done on what they call the hedonic treadmill, and what that is. It means that if somebody's going for a certain celebrity status, or monetary status, or for a particular job, or they have something in their mind that is going to make them happy, and they go after this, and they get it, there's an immediate letdown. And somebody gets this position, and they get, gold watch or whatever they do, and then, 10 minutes later, everybody's gone. And there's a tremendous depression sets in, because two reasons. One is because that has nothing to do with our true self-worth, number one. Number two is that our hopes for having some increase in self-worth are dashed to bits, because it just doesn't work. Very good friend of mine who was in the Olympics and had gold medals and bronze medals, and I went with him once to pick. He was getting them, framed and that sort of thing. But before he went in, he said, "Well, hold these, see what you feel." I said, "Well, I really don't feel much." He said, "That's right. I mean, once you get a gold medal, what's next? Go home and have pizza." And he said, he was really glad he was able to do that, and do that for his country, and so on and so forth. But it didn't provide the sense of contentment that fundamentally we all crave. So the true self is an intuitive and flowing connection with our true nature. It's our connection with our natural mind and our natural sense of being. What this means is this comes about with the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us shows us how to do this. Like when thought comes up and we let it go, when that thought disappears, what's left? There's this space between thoughts. And that's where our natural being is. That's when we're just being. Many people may have had, a lot of people have the experience of going on a hike or something, and come to a beautiful vista, and just sit there in this wordless, with the awe and the grandeur. That's the intuitive self. That's the self that's created. That is given. That is the authentic self that's connected to nature. That's our natural mind and our natural sense of being. Most of the time when we think of ourselves, we think of what we've achieved, or what we got to do next, or our to-do lists, or mistakes we made in the past, or how we want to do things in the future, and what are we going to do in a 5-year plan, and all these things going on, which we have to do because that's kind of the way life is. But if we take that as our only mode of existence, we wind up feeling very empty, because none of that is in the present moment. And so when in the present moment, sometimes we don't know how to react to someone's compliment. or to the extension of a friend, or a friends in or family members having a really hard time. We don't know how to react because we're not in our authentic self. So Winnicott said one of the characteristics of the true self is natural, intuitive, spontaneous, and creative. So that there's this natural flow of activity. And we probably have experienced some of that no matter, at some point too, where we just get an idea, we go, well, maybe they would like this rather than that. Maybe I should, no, maybe what, no, I think I need to give them a call. And so we give them a call, and intuitively they say, oh, I'm so glad you called. Yeah, things have been hard lately. And it's this intuitive response to life, or trying to make a decision about where to go on vacation, or what to do about a family gathering, or whatever the decision is, or to take a particular position at one company or another company. Well, those sorts of things, really require some thought and some investigation, but in the end, it's our gut feeling that makes the wisest decision. And so in this process, we move from making good or bad decisions, like from this thing, and we move to making wiser, more wise or less wise decisions. That's when we're centered, when the head is in the heart also. And then we make this sort of intuitive decision. We get a feeling that, no, this is the right way to go. And we find out most often that really is the right way to go. But it's not something we reached through deductive reasoning. It's something we came to spontaneously as a result of natural mind, going with the flow, so to speak. So, as I said, this is a big topic, and we could spend a lot more time on it. But for the moment, this introduction, I hope, would provide enough of a framework that when we do start talking about true self and false self, you have some notion, some orientation about it. So thank you for listening, and I hope it helps.